Hi, my name is Jenn Braun, and today what I'll be talking about is the differences in solar power adoption in Canada between provinces, specifically between Ontario and Alberta. Canada has a large portfolio of renewable energy, with the majority coming from hydroelectricity. Compared to hydro, solar is a very young technology, with the entirety of utility-scale generation development taking place after 2009. As of 2021, a majority of the solar generation in Canada is located in Ontario, even though it is a middling province for solar development in terms of installation. The best provinces for solar generation, Alberta and Saskatchewan, have electricity generation that is still largely reliant on fossil fuels, mainly coal and natural gas. This leads to the central question of this inquiry: why has solar power adoption in Canada been largely limited to Ontario? For the sake of narrowing the scope and focusing research, Alberta was chosen as the example province out of the two with the highest installation. The large difference in solar adoption between the two provinces seems to be largely related to legislation that promotes the adoption of clean energy. Ontario passed a bill in 2009, the Green Energy Act, that offers some support for developing solar installations in the province, and shortly thereafter, there was a large increase in the development of solar in the province. A similar act in Alberta, the Renewable Energy Act of 2016, was followed by a similar increase in development of solar resources in the province. Alberta has over 1,000 megawatts of installation planned to be finished between 2021 and 2024, and so will soon be catching up to Ontario in terms of overall generation. Weather and daylight hours was a factor that was expected to have much more impact but seems to be less influential than legislation. The weather patterns and climates of the provinces are what influences the amount of insolation the provinces get. Since Alberta has much less precipitation, it has much more sun, despite being further north than much of Ontario. The snowfall also potentially influences the adoption of photovoltaics, since there is the perception of more needed maintenance in the winter. But it has been found that with the optimal tilt for the latitudes, snow slid off naturally much of the time, and in the best cases, only 3% of energy was lost. Perception can be powerful though, and even with evidence supporting otherwise, these perceptions can influence decisions made by the people with power to implement changes. Another factor that can drive solar adoption in Canada is our many remote communities. These communities are typically powered by diesel generation, a fuel that must be shipped in from outside the community. Remote communities in both Ontario and Alberta are looking to solar to reduce their reliance on diesel, which will reduce pollution in the area and often create jobs for the community in maintenance of the array. These adoptions will not add much to the overall solar capacity of the country, since they tend to be 2 megawatts or less, but are still important for the communities they support. Overall, the differences in adoption seem to be most related to human factors over scientific ones. As with many portions of life and industry today, the sooner renewable solutions are implemented, the better it will be for the planet.